Implausible Nature now has dice. That's right, you can get these awesome D6s made by our partner, Baron of Dice. These custom dice have the Implausible Nature logo on the six side and also come with square corners, which means they will roll more evenly than rounded corner dice. Head on over to baronofdice.com and use discount code IN40K to get a discount on your order and support us at the same time. Check out his full collection of dice for all your gaming needs with the link down in the description.
All right, welcome to Implausible Nature, your home for all things Black Templar. Bob and I are back with another spicy matchup for you. Today it's going to be my Black Templars versus Bob's Leagues of Votann. So, as you can see here, we have the map already set up. It is going to be Hammer and Anvil deployment. And let's take a look at our mission rules. Oops. Zoom in. All right, so as you can see, our mission rule here is prepared positions. Players can target their battle line units with the go to ground and heroic intervention stratagems for 0 CP, but you can't do it twice in the same turn. So if you've already used it, can't use it. So pretty neat. I actually like that. I'm looking forward to taking advantage of that. I've got a couple of Crusader squads in my list to take advantage of that. And then for primary, we just got our bog standard here, take and hold, which is score 5 VP for every objective marker that you control. So with that in mind, let's take a look at our army lists. Do you want me to go first? Or do you want to go first, Bob?
I can go first.
All right, let me get over the camera over there. All right, whenever you're ready.
All right, so this is going to be a little bit interesting. So I have never played this army before, but I've watched quite a few different things, and it'll be interesting kind of a game for me, going outside my norm. But they do kind of interest me, so I thought I would take them a spin.
All right.
So to start off with, I have the Iron Master with his crew over here. He has the long list enhancement, which allows him to generate judgment tokens as units destroyed. He's going to be leading a Thunderkin unit of 6 with their Grav blast cannons. Then I have another Iron Master. This one has Appraising Glare. This one also basically gives me more judgment tokens, but this one is going to be adding on to an objective that Alex is sitting on. It counts as having 1 judgment token more than it normally would have. They are also going to be joining the other Thunderkin with Graviton blast cannons. And why that's important is he gives me +1 to hit on those Thunderkins.
Yep, which is good because they're ballistic skill 4+. So
yeah, he also regenerates them over time. So it basically is a
he's an apothecary.
Yep, he's an apothecary too.
Nice.
So I also have a call right here over here. He has the enhancement that allows him to ignore all modifier changes. And then he is going to go with the Hearthguard. He does have the Rampart Crest, so he grants 5+ invulnerable save to all of his unit. The Hearthguard, he's Hezier, I can't pronounce that, has the Teleport Crest, so the whole unit can teleport in. All of them are packing the Concussion Gauntlet and the Plasma Gun.
And this is 1 10-man unit.
Yep, 1 10-man unit.
All right.
Then I have my Hearthkin Warriors. Pretty standard setup. The heavy weapon is going to be the Plasma Beamer, and then I have another one with Magna Rail Rifle, so anti-mech and anti-vehicle. The other ones are packing Ion Blasters. have 2 squads of 10. They will split up into the Sagittars. They do have all of the requisite comms, array, medpack, scanners for those to help out with that. And then finally, I have Berserks, 2 mole launchers to reduce the speed of Alex, as well as twin concussion gauntlets and concussion mauls. Those guys are going to be going into the Hecaton Land Fortress, which has the SP Heavy Conversion Beamer for some anti-vehicle. And then the Sagittars are the vehicles, which I'm keeping the standard high-las beam cannon and twin bolt cannons. So,
all right.
For those.
All right. So let's take a look at my Black Templar list. All right, so to start us out here, I've got 2 5-man sword bros squads kitted out as you do. One is going to be led by the High Marshal. He is accompanied by a lieutenant. That lieutenant does have a power fist. I know the model is not, but this guy's just way too cool not to use. Plus, I gave him Perdition's Edge, so yeah, more appropriate that it's an axe, not a edge of his knuckles. I don't know. In any case, so he'll be accompanying that squad. They will be in one of these impulsors here, taking advantage of the new 7-man capacity. The second Sword Bro squad is led by the Emperor's Champion. They'll be in an impulsor as well. Then I have 2 5-man scout squads, 1 squad of suppressors here. I've got 2 Crusader squads, 10-man, kitted for close combat, of course. And then I have a 10-man assault intercessor squad with jump packs, led by a captain with jump packs. So we're going to test out and see how well they do. They have some pretty neat, if you watched my video on them, they have some pretty neat synergy that I'm looking forward to trying out. And then for our rounding out our vehicles, I have 2 Ballistus Dreadnoughts and, of course, a Vindicator. So that is the armies. Let's get to deploying, and we'll check back in once we finish deployment. All right, so we have finished deployment. Bob, do you want to talk about your deployment first?
Sure, mine's pretty simple. So we decided that the runes are first floors are blocking line of sight. So
yeah, even though there's some windows here that are open, just to make it easier and simpler, it fully blocks line of sight, just like some of these closed ones.
Yep. So what I did is I put one of my Thunderkins, because I'm 5 points over, so I can't put both of them into strategic reserves, unfortunately. So the one that is a long list is on the board, because I want to make sure that I have that going right away for my enhancements. He's hiding behind the little building, and then they'll advance into it and out of it as necessary. I have Sagittar 1. 1 and 3 have the guns with the Hearthkin. They also have the medikit and the pan scanner. So ignores cover, and they get a 6-up feel no pain. So the Sagittar 1 is on the flank there. Sagittar 3 is on the flank over here. They're trying to get behind the buildings, because I tried to limit the long-range shots, but he does have the Dreadnought. That's going to be a clear shot on that one, so hopefully I can get the first turn and avoid losing that. And the basic Hearthkin warriors are sitting here in the center, one in the ruins, so they can drive through, and basically it's going to be capturing this thing for the foreseeable future, and the one potentially advancing. Hecaton Fortress is behind the ruins, so there's no shots on it, but he can drive through it and get into where he needs to. So as you also probably saw, Over here, strategic reserves. I have my Berserks in the Hecaton Fortress. I split up my Hearthkin Warriors, as you can see there. I have the Iron Master with the Thunderkin in strategic reserves. And finally, the Hearthguard are going to be with the Call in Deep Strike.
All right. Well, let's take a look at the Templar deployment. So I got my scouts up here near the front, ready to take an objective if need be. I got my Primaris Crusader squad front and center here. You might be wondering, why are they kind of out in the open? Well, they have scouts, so they'll be able to cozy up beside these scouts, in the protection of this ruins right here from being shot. And then I got my other Crusader squad over here behind the building, along with a Ballistus Dreadnought. I've got the High Marshal Helbrick's vehicle safely behind cover here to avoid getting shot. My scouts are on my home objective. I have my other Ballistus right here in the corner, along with my 10-man Assault Intercessor squad. And then my Emperor's Champion Impulsor is over here on the right. Then in reserves, I've got my Suppressors in Deep Strike reserves and my Vindicator in Strat reserves. So that is the board as it looks at the end of deployment. So we're going to roll off for first turn, and we'll be back after the command movement phase of whoever goes first. All right, so here we are after, well, technically all of my turn one, but that's because I had nothing to shoot. I went first, as you can see. Unfortunately, once again, this is all three of our games. I've gone first, and I haven't wanted to go first a single time. So, yay. But that's okay. Gotta roll with the dice. And so I didn't have anything to shoot, and I didn't have anything to charge. So this is kind of the board state as it is. The secondaries I drew were Overwhelming Force and Recover Assets. Overwhelming Force, completely unachievable this turn and probably next. So I just paid the CP to discard that one and instead drew Sabotage. So we'll go through my movement phase real quick, and then we'll talk about these banners, what they're standing for. So over here on the right, my Impulsor just kind of went straight forward. Have a nice little ruins right here to protect me, along with this ruins sticking out between the two. I don't think he has enough speed to be able to shoot me this turn, but staged nicely for next turn. Also, Bob judgmented my Ballistus, both my Ballistus, actually, you can see here, and then my Assault Intercessors with jump packs. He also put the fourth one on my Vindicator in reserve. So I just bumped these guys up a little bit, staging them for a future charge. I did not want to. There was no real safe place to put them. I could have put them over here, but that leaves them open for this Sagittar over here to light me up, which I did not want to do. So, yeah. So we're going to leave them in cover until they have something to charge. My Crusader squad right here, they scouted up. Didn't need to move after that. They're nice and cozy, safe behind this ruin. My other Crusader squad advanced 5 inches, so a total of 11. After their scout move, they got all the way to this objective right here. Trying to get as much behind this ruin as I can. They're probably going to get shot, but, them's the breaks. So, yeah. So then my Impulsor here just moved up, and I spread my scouts out a little bit here to try to cover as much of my backfield from deep striking Hearthguard as possible. In my shooting phase, these guys right here, the scouts and the Crusader squads, are doing Recover Assets, so I can at least get some points from that. And these scouts right here are going to be doing Sabotage. So I marked them because those do not complete until the end of Bob's turn. So I feel pretty confident that I'm going to score those points. We're pretty far away from each other. Votann are not known for their speed, so I feel like it'll be tough for him to get to me, to be able to shoot me. So yeah, so that is my first turn. This is the board state right here. I did Oath of Moment. These broke in over here, broke here, Thunderkin over here. Don't know if that's really going to come into play this turn. Probably not. I doubt they're going to rush out and charge me. So,
No.
so yeah. And we'll check back in after Bob's command and movement phase.
All right. As you can see, it's another setup move for me. Just like Alex, there's not a lot of shooting opportunities, but I did line up what I could. So it's basically just prepping the board. So in my command phase, I took, or actually got Secure No Man's Land and Overwhelming Force. So I had to make sure that I either A, kill off something on the impulsor, or kill something off of his objectives, so it's unlikely to happen. But I will probably save that for another turn. But the other one I got, Secure No Man's Land, is to take an objective, 2 of them, preferably, and get that by the end of the turn. So my movement was geared around that. So I advanced up my Sagittars to get to the center. This one had an advance roll of a 2, and so I CP rerolled that and got a 5 instead. Or maybe it was a 6. I think it was a 6.
Yeah.
So I got onto it. I was going to drop out my inventory to make sure I captured it from the impulsor, but since I rolled high enough on the advance, the Sagittar has an OC of 3 versus the impulsor of 2, so I did not need to do that, and I would prefer to have them break into my Sagittar to get the juicy goods inside.
How does that thing have an OC of 3 and my giant tank is only 2? Like, come on, look how much bigger I am. Plus, I'm scary. I'm a space marine.
Yeah. So in the middle of the board, I just advanced forward. I advanced those. Sagittar number 4 right here close to the center is going to lay down some fire onto the ballistics. The only shot that I have will whittle down something on it. Everything else doesn't really have shots, just the way we define the ruins. I'll probably put the twin bolt cannon into the Primaris over here as well. So with that being said, there was just a little bit of disembarking over here to make sure that I have something on the home objective to screen out a little bit better, but I basically abandoned my deployment zone. If he wants to drop into my deployment zone, he's going to get just annihilated. Because remember, my Thunderkin do have an Overwatch of 5 up. Mm-hmm. So if anything drops in, it's going to die a horrible death.
Probably. So, speaking of the Thunderkin, they were too chunk to make it to the other side of the building. They were going to be clipping the building with their base. So sadly, they just have to post up right next to the ruin wall.
They're lucky, because that would have eliminated all of those.
Yeah, probably would have been bad. So,
but, alas, one more turn.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll check back in
begins
after probably the end of the turn, because there doubtful be any charges. So
no.
We'll check back in here shortly. All right. So a rather uneventful shooting phase for Bob. He only plinked off one model. However,
unfortunately.
However, that's all it takes to devout push, which is exactly what I did over here to steal this objective back from him, which not only costs him points on his overwhelming force, but it's going to give me points on take and hold. So really big use of devout push there, only for losing one model. So really pleased with that. I only rolled a 2, but honestly, I really didn't want to move that far anyway, because the Hecaton and the other Sagittar here, like, I could have put myself in the danger zone of being shot some more, which I just wanted to get enough guys on the objective to take it back from Bob. So yeah. So now we're going to move into my command phase and movement phase. and we'll see you in a few. All right, so here we are at the end of my command phase and movement phase. I kept the Oath a moment on these Thunderkin over here. We're going to kind of go left to right. So I moved my Crusader squad up fully onto this objective here. You can probably guess what they're planning to do this turn. I also moved my Ballistas up. I brought my Vindicator in from reserves. I moved the Impulsor up here a little bit further. Just to kind of back everything up, I did not move these Scouts or these Primaris Crusaders. The Scouts will not live long out in the open on this objective, and neither will the Crusader squad. He has a lot of guns. It would also be an easy charge for him. He's got the Berserks in the Hecaton here. They get about an 8-inch move, including deploy. That would put them in this ruin right here. It would probably make for a pretty easy charge to get into them, and I'm sure that they would probably destroy these guys pretty badly, plus the shooting. I kind of trapped my Ballistas over here a little bit, unknowingly. I thought he could fit through there, but not really. But that's okay because he can still see down the center of the board, so he's still got a good sight line to shoot stuff. Yeah. So not super concerned with him being there. He can kind of overwatch the center, which will be helpful. I also did not move these guys. Once again, I didn't want to move them out here, charge something that's not really relevant with something that's just troops, and give an easy charge for this. Plus, they do help screen my back line a little bit here from his deep striking guys, which I'm sure are coming in next. They kind of did give up some space over here in the corner and over here, but it'd be a long charge for them. I did also move in these suppressors over here into his back line, and that is because one of my secondaries is behind enemy lines, so wanted to make sure I score that. And I've also got no prisoners, so each time an enemy unit is destroyed, I feel like I can probably get that at least once or twice. So let's see what shooting I can do. Alright, so shooting has happened. There's one less Sagittar on the board, so that's good. Of course, it did take a Vindicator and a Ballistas to kill it, because apparently I can't hit the broadside of a barn, which is what happened over here. Completely whiffed. Basically completely whiffed over here too, shooting into these guys. I shot the Hecaton with the suppressors, knowing that I wasn't going to do any damage more than likely, which I didn't, but mainly to make it -1 to hit. So that was the big goal with the Hecaton, is to take those big guns down a notch. So that's what I did. Yeah, I've at least scored some points with no prisoners. Yeah, and I will score my behind enemy lines as well. So that's my shooting phase. Let's move on to the charge phase. All right, charging was had, and fighting was done, and carnage ensued. You'll notice a few less warriors over here, namely the whole squad. I was able to wipe them out, which is good. Got me 2 extra victory points for that. I did also charge these guys. It was a calculated gamble, but I didn't want to be standing out in the open for them to just move forward and blast away at me. So at the very least, I'm going to force Bob to potentially spend a CP. I may try to no escape them as well. We'll have to see how the shooting phase or Bob's movement phase goes. So a couple of options there. If they do fall back and I no escape and I fail, I'll at least force Bob to spend a CP on his stratagem to fall back and shoot. So yeah, no other fights happened. So I did score behind enemy lines for 3 points and no prisoners for 4. And we're going to move into the top of Bob's turn 2.
All right, so my turn. So I moved up the. No, I suppose I should tell you what I got. So I obviously kept overwhelming force on that, so it's going to be a very needed one this turn. So I kept it. Established locus is the other one. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get to his deployment zone simply because of the way he has it screened. But it did have the Hearthkin Warriors close, so I just walked him up to the center, did the established locus. I'll get that at the end of my turn. I moved my berserks out and moved them so that they could get a charge. Hopefully, we'll be able to get a charge on these guys. I need an 8 on that, but if need be, if I don't kill this impulsor in the shooting phase, I'll have something close and easy to take care of that. These guys tried to fall back, but he kept them
Cheeky
in.
use of no escape.
He got his no escape, so that is good there. Otherwise, I just made some movements. I got the Sagittar around the building, not in the building this time, so he will be able to. And actually, I want to make sure that I'm tucked behind the building so he doesn't get no shots. Little cheeky shooter. So, I want to make sure he doesn't kill it this time around like he did the last time, because I was slightly into the building.
Yep.
But not making that mistake again. So I also want to make sure I save shot. Yep. Okay. Then I rearranged my Hearthkin Warriors because he doesn't have any more deep strike things. So now they're basically going to be immune to shooting for everything now, unless he walks all the way around. The Hecaton Land Fortress, to make sure that it has its conversion beamer shot, did not move. So it's going to fire into these things over here because that's what it's got shot. And other than that, I don't think I had any other movement, but I did bring in some reserves. So the first one, I strategic reserve over here. So I brought them in on my side because I feel like I need to reinforce this side. I know that there's stuff going on this side of the board, but really I only have the 2 units over here. I want to make sure that I have overwhelming amounts of firepower going on one side of the board so that I can control the no man's land, hopefully the center, but he's going to come in and take that. That'll be fairly easy for him, but I will be able to adjust to that with all of my forces on this side. And hopefully next turn I will be able to get out of combat with this, because this is going to be an unfortunate slog otherwise. I did heal that one Thunderkin that was damaged, so the Sagittar did a little rearranging here as well to get better shots into this. And then I had the Hearthkin came in and deep striked into the bubble. So for video evidence, so not that it's going to matter because I have to remember. So I'm going to, the ideal plan is I'm going to shoot a bunch of plasma into the ballistas because the call gives them lethal hits. And it also has +1 to hit and +1 to wound on the rolls there. So hopefully I can knock out the ballistist to get my 3 CP. Mathematically, to kill, I considered doing the assault interceptors with jump packs, but I would have to fire both all the plasma and all of my grenades into it to kill it. And I didn't really like that idea because I want to try and kill these scouts who are sitting on the objective. So I'm going to do all the grenades into those to make sure that they die. So that should be about 30 shots on average, 35 shots. That should be enough to kill a 5-man squad.
One would hope.
One would hope. So that is where it's going to go, and we'll come back in the shooting phase.
All right.
All right, guys. So unfortunately, we had some technical difficulties when we were recording this segment of the video, and I didn't realize it until way later. We'd already been way past this part of the turn. So I'm going to kind of try to talk you through. Basically, Bob's audio didn't work, so I'm going to kind of try to quickly talk you through what happened in here. Obviously, you can see right here that my impulsor is missing. His Thunderkin did a good job taking care of it, along with the other shooting that went down with it. He did, I think, try to fire some indirect into these Crusaders over there with no avail there. So there wasn't a ton, I don't think, else that happened aside from one major thing, and that is the Hearthkin. He decided to fire, or Hearthguard, excuse me, he decided to fire into, as you can see, my assault jump pack intercessors. Absolutely devastated them. That I was really hoping that he wasn't going to shoot them because they were just going to charge afterwards, but unfortunately he did nearly wipe them out. They are pretty fragile, unfortunately, even with cover and AOC. I didn't do so well in my saves, but ultimately only 2 guys left there, and that's pretty much, I think, all the shooting that happened in here. So let's move on to. There was one more thing. He did, at the end in his charge phase, try to charge my scouts and try to charge my sword bros with his berserks. He failed both of those charges. So great for me, unfortunate for Bob. So let's head into the top of my turn 3.
All right. So, much to my joy and Bob's dismay, he failed both charge rolls and also the reroll. So, I did not get charged and probably annihilated. So, that's a good thing for me. We are now after my command and movement phase. So, you'll see definitely interesting board state here. So, I oathed the Berserks and I used the a CP to use Fervent Acclamation to give my Sword Bros a 6-up Feel No Pain. I did that because these little bastards can fight on death. So I want to make sure that I am rolling saves and whatnot. Um, so, um, so yeah. So I moved there. I moved these remaining jump pack guys out. I'm hoping that I'll probably murk these 5 little dudes off the objective and maybe consolidate into the Sagittar. We'll have to see how that goes. Um, but over here, I ran my scouts the hell away from these things to keep him away from the objective because they are slow. And I kind of put the ballistas. It didn't really have any targets anyway, shooting towards the center. So I just kind of used him as a screen. And if he wants to get to this objective, he's going to have to take 2 turns to do there. I also moved Helbrick's Impulsor over here. So in the off chance that he decides to just shoot the scouts off the objective, I'm still on it. And more importantly, if he moves up, Helbrick and friends will be there to say hello. Over here, hello. Over here, I moved these guys up into the middle to hopefully make a charge on these dudes and take the center. And then my Ballistas and Vindicator moved up here to get better angles on these 2 tanks and or this tank right here. So, yeah. So that's my movement phase. Oh, and then my scouts. I brought my scouts in over here because my secondaries that I drew are Containment and Established Locus. Don't really have anything I can do containment with unless I decide to waste my Vindicators shooting to do so. Or maybe the Ballistas might be within 9. But Established Locus, I should be able to get pretty easily. I'm already marked them to do it over here and get 4 points that way. So yeah. So that is my movement phase. Let's get to shooting. All right, so carnage. Lots of ridiculous carnage. You see there's now a gaping empty spot over here where Berserks and Sword Brethren used to be. So I annihilated, as expected, the berserks on the charge, and Bob got his crackbacks in, and I could not make saves or feel no pains to save my life. I rolled 3 ones on the Emperor's Champion saves. Ridiculous. So yeah, so they're all dead. So that sucks. But obviously, I wiped out these dudes over here, so I'm firmly on this objective. And then consolidated in over here, killed a couple more Thunderkin, locked this thing in combat so that it will not be able to shoot. I don't know if Bob's strat works on it. Is it any Votann or is it infantry only? I don't remember that, the fall back and shoot strat. Either way, I'll force him to do something. Um, so yeah, so that is the combat, ladies and gentlemen. I did end up doing in my shooting phase, which, by the way, my shooting phase, you notice we didn't talk about that. I only plinked one little Ironheart over here off of these and did literally nothing else. Again, couldn't roll for anything. The Ballistus Dreadnought over here is getting demoted to, I don't know, a Firstborn Dreadnought because he stinks. He's just going into storage because he stinks. He could not roll anything against anyone. I did decide to go for points instead of kills. So the Vindicator is doing an action. He's doing containment, and so was my Assault Intercessors here. But because I did that along with my scouts over here, that netted me 10 points this turn, which, given what happened right here, I'm glad that I did that, because 10 points I think is worth, it's much more worth. Really, it's 6. I was going to get 4 over here anyway. So in any case, that's my turn, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to move on to the bottom of turn 3.
Okay, so I am not mute this time. Technical difficulties. All right, so in my command phase, my call added Judgment Token to the scouts over here, and I had Appraising Glare from my Brokir over there, Iron Master over here, added this, and he healed the. Actually, we're going to do that dice roll right now because I don't have the assistant anymore. So let's see. Heals 2. So it heals this guy back to full.
Nice.
On that. So I also drew Extend Battle Lines. So I have that scored right now because I'm stickied. And then I also have Marked for Death. So he picked 3 units. They are marked with the yellow dice. So the Vindicator, he has the full-size squad of Crusaders in the middle, and this annoying Impulsor that is blocked by the Ruin that I can't shoot. So that's fun. So really the only 2 targets I have are going to be the Vindicator or the Neophytes, and I'd have to really get lucky on these guys. So I don't think that's going to be an option. So I'm going to go for the kill on the Vindicator and see if I can make it happen. I don't know if it's gonna, but it's all I got. So that's kind of where my movement has gone. So I did move these guys up here, the Thunderkin up. I moved these guys to be able to get more shots into those. And then the Hearthkin moved forward because I'm going to shoot into the scouts and get a charge into the Ballistus and hopefully kill that so I can continue moving on forward.
All right.
It's screening and it's annoying, but yes.
Yep. All right, well, let's see what happens.
All right, shooting phase was eventful. The one that mattered was the Vindicator. As you can see, it is gone.
Once again, can't make any saves.
The very last shot that I had took it out. So I was able to score that. All the rest of it was kind of incidental. So Thunderkin shot into the last 2 guys.
Obviously, they were going to die.
Yeah. That almost didn't happen. it took like the last shot from the broken ear, the Iron Master to get him. But it happened, which is very surprising. I plinked. I think I killed one guy off of that
Yeah, one guy.
with the shot over there in the center. The Hearthguard with the plasma split shots into the ballistas after using the stratagem again. I was able to get it down to 2 wounds, which allows me to charge it, so I guess that's good. But then I was able to get 1 million grenade shots, and it still didn't kill the scouts. Fortunately, I had the call that had his last little 3 shots, and I was able to take him down with one of the devastating shots. So kill that, and then over here on the Hearthkin at the very bottom next to my objective, I plinked off a scout. So now they're just gonna slap at each other for the rest of the game, just to make sure that he doesn't do anything shenanigan-y. So,
all right,
I think that is it. Satchar fired into the Premier's Crusader squads over here that he's involved in, but
they whiffed.
So,
all right, moving on to the charge phase.
All right. So the only thing of note that really happened in this is I made a bunch of charges. So I charged the Hecaton Fortress in here, so I wanted to get cheeky with the tank shock. I only was able to get 3 of the 12 to go. I killed one guy. I also put the Sagittar onto the objective in the event that something happens to this ballistas, so that I can score some points. But right now, he has it. I also got the Hearthkin in. So, like I mentioned, they're just going to slap each other for the rest of the game.
Yep.
I think that was it, other than the Hearthkin or the Hearthguard just evaporated.
They did not roll well on their charge, so they did not get to like wrap around to potentially get to the objective on a consolidate. So good for me.
Yeah, not good for me.
Yep.
But
all right,
because I am still down. I was able to score all the points on my secondaries, but I'm still down by 11, so that hurts. So yeah,
indeed. We will see. That's 2 turns to go. Well, let's see what happens. All right. So a little bit of movement, a little bit of shooting, and we're getting ready for the charge phase here. So Helbrecht and the boys got out. They did get overwatched. I lost a sword brother, but that's okay because they are ready to tackle the Hearthguard here, who are my oath target naturally. And then in my shooting phase, I think I plinked one guy off. Ferocity finally did something. So I think it's the first time in 10th edition I've ever killed a model with Ferocity. I actually rolled a devastating wound, so that was cool. And then over here, this Ballistas Dreadnought redeemed himself. He's no longer being put in storage. He's been upgraded to a box knot. So we'll see if he continues to redeem himself. And he killed this Sagittar right here off this objective. So, and my objectives are, my secondaries are engage on all fronts and assassination. So pretty confident I can get assassination over here on this call when Helbrecht and friends charge in. And then I've already got engage on all fronts. Should be able to get all 4. These guys are now in this table quarter. I got one here. I got the Dreadnought here. Actually, no, it'll still be just 3, I guess, because I don't have anything in this corner over here. So either way, points, still scoring points. So we'll check back in after the charge phase. More carnage. So, as expected, the Sword Bros took care of the Hearthguard over here. Helbrecht was angry. He's angry at the bad dice rolls. Like, probably for the first time in all of 10th edition, I actually rolled a 6 on his mortal wound ability, Sword of the High Marshals, or whatever it's called.
And then another 6.
And then I rolled another 6. So 6 mortal wounds to start the combat over here. And then between his attacks, the lieutenant, and I think the lightning claws that just took care of the whole squad. So I did not roll especially hot on lethals or on crit hits either. So I had crit hits and crit lethals and sustained on crit hits. I did not roll especially high on them, but
Yeah,
still managed
I
to
might
take
have
care of
had
them.
one or two guys left over after that if you didn't
If I
roll so
hadn't
hot
rolled
on
all
Hilberg.
the mortals, yeah, but I still had 3 more dudes to attack, so they would have taken care of them. Over here, I finally took care of the Thunderkin squad, but failed to inflict enough damage to kill the Iron Master. So I consolidated into the Sagittar to make sure I stayed on this objective. He's not really too much of a threat to me, so it is what it is. I'm on this objective. And yeah, the slap fight continued over here. I think one more scout died and one more warrior died. Um, the, uh, the the Crusader squad here came through against this Hecaton. Well, sort of. Yes and no. The power fist did really well. I think I landed 4 or 5 wounds off of it. Um,
4. Yep.
4, yeah. And then 25 attacks. I had 11 hits. However, of those 11 hits, I think I had 6 6s. So it made up for it in the wound roll, which is what I needed to wound it, and I plinked off some more wounds. So he's down to 9 wounds left. And then yeah, that's that. That is the end of my turn 4. So I'll score engage in all fronts, and I kill the character, so I get assassination. So let's see what happens in Bob's half of the turn.
All right, so we just kind of skipped through the end of here. So
Not much happening.
I drew engage on all fronts and sabotage. So what I had to do is I sabotaged with my Hearth kin over here to kill that little ruin. So I got the 3 points. I also had engage on all 4 sides, so I have full points for that. So shooting, there was very little shooting that I could do, but I did move the things forward so that I could shoot into the ballistas, both my Iron Master and my Hecaton Fortress. But the ballistas held strong. I just
He's hanging in there with 4 wounds.
Yeah, even with the charge that I made into him, like he's sticking around. So he's he's being upgraded, even though he's got the 2 judgment tokens and an anti-dedicated 2 units to kill him. He's promoted because I needed to kill him to get him off the objective and take it, and he's still there. So
sadly, he's still there for you. So yeah, and the Iron Master only has 1 wound left.
Yeah,
so
I was able to whittle down this Crusader squad with some shooting, and then
you did well with the shooting there, even though it was hitting on 5s.
Yeah, so he's down to 1. So now it's tied for it. With the only exception is if he fails his
battle shock
test, then that will matter.
Yeah.
So
all right,
let's hope so, because I want to capture it.
Well, let's see what happens.
All right, so Alex already scored enough points to win, and even with some really good secondaries,
which you got 12 points for.
to get it. So I maxed out turn 5 for myself, which brought me to 86 points to 95. So I made it close at the end. But I have to make a comment. We talked about it a little bit in the game. So 2 CP won him the game. So he had no escape twice on my Thunderkin over here on the side. And that was a swing of probably 30 points.
Perhaps,
because that allowed him to continuing to capture this objective over me for 3 turns, because I would have easily been able to shoot them and kill them in the 3 turns, because he charged me and then I wasn't able to shoot that turn. Then I tried to fall back, couldn't fall back, then couldn't fall back again. So, and then that would have allowed me to actually walk onto the objective and score me
points,
my full points on it. So
But
that saved
meanwhile, I
30
held that
points.
objective most of the game, almost actually all of the game. I think I held that objective.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, definitely
Two
that definitely,
CP won the game for him.
yeah. No escape. Don't ever let anyone tell you that no escape is not a good stratagem, because it pretty much won me the game. Now, I definitely made some pretty big mistakes. Probably my biggest mistake was over here, with the screen out. Now, this is a huge area to try to screen out to keep dudes on here. I had staged my jump pack intercessors to support this flank, and to be honest, that was I think I misplayed moving the scouts. I was stringing them out as far as I could to try to screen off anywhere that he could land. I probably could have moved. I was thinking, oh, I can't get any further from where I was. Um, but there was one scout that was kind of off to the side, and I could have moved the furthest scout further and moved that guy into the space to make them stay in coherency, and I think that might have screened him out. To be honest, knowing that the Hearthguard, knowing now what their shooting is like, I should have moved the assault intercessors back, and not just completely screened it out, because then he would have been forced to drop like maybe over here, um, or somewhere completely different, and it would have allowed me to not lose them. I basically lost them because they dropped in and shot the shit out of them, which was a huge loss because that was one of my huge DPS units. Um, Fortunately, I was able to get back over here. He did not make the charge with his scouts, or into my scouts, which helped a bit. So I was able to screen a little bit with the dreadnought, and then Halbert took care of them and whatnot. But this was also a disaster over here.
Yeah.
I rolled so
It
badly.
helped that I failed that charge, and then I failed
Yes.
the reroll too.
Yeah.
But I made it up in the fact that I made 7 of the 10 fight back.
Well,
So
and not only that, like you rolled a lot of wounds, and I just could not make saves. Like I AOC'd, I had a feel no pain. I couldn't make any saves. Um, so yeah,
I mean, it's
this
tough
was
when they have 3 damage each.
yeah, yeah. They are definitely good into sword bros, which is unfortunate. But overall, this is the board state at the end of the game. Um, the Crusader squad over here was definitely the MVP. I think, hanging in there for as long as they did. They actually made their saves. This dreadnought lived, despite me calling him out for his terrible shooting. He finally made up for it and chunked apart some stuff with his shooting, and then shot the Brokir Iron Father or whatever, Iron Master to death with Stormbolters.
Barely,
barely,
but he did.
barely.
And then your neophyte lived in the Crusader squad.
Yeah, the neophyte lives to tell the tale.
Well, I mean, technically the last turn I could have shot him, but we were like, whatever. He already scored the points.
Yeah, you didn't need to shoot him because you already had the objective. So,
yeah, I mean,
so yeah,
maybe I should have killed him.
Maybe just out of spite.
Yeah. So I think big thing on my end. I felt like this unit right here didn't really do anything on the side, and I probably should have brought him in over here after you'd moved everything, and I think that would have played more of an impact and maybe would have clawed back some points. So I think that was a mistake on my point. They really didn't do anything.
On the other hand, though, I think if you hadn't had them over here, there was probably no way you were going to destroy this transport, the impulsor that was right here, which meant the berserks would have had to charge the transport, and then would have likely destroyed it, almost certainly. But then they would have gotten attacked by the sword bros. So the same thing would have happened.
Hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah, the same thing would, assuming the same dice rolls, the same thing would have happened over here. There would have been mutually assured destruction, and there'd just be this one little squad left on the thing. Yeah, overall, good game. Bob, how did you like Votann?
They're a very interesting army, to be honest with you. They have a potential for a lot of shooting, but they are so slow. So like
They hit so hard though. Like when they do
yeah,
shoot you,
they can.
they hit you really hard. So you gotta
There's
really
a few
utilize
units
cover.
that are few things. I probably would have changed up a few armaments that I had, like the Hecaton. I didn't really care for the SP conversion beamer. It really didn't come into play.
Yeah, it didn't do much for you.
So I probably would have changed that. But overall, I late changed. I took out the bikes, 2 squads of 3 bikes, and I switched them out in lieu of the
Thunderkin.
berserkers.
Oh, the berserkers.
And,
Okay.
and I think I like that better because I wanted to have something in the Hecaton.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah,
I would have made the list a little
the
bit
berserks
faster.
are mean, for sure.
But they gave me a little bit of a counter punch for the list. But I think I like it. They're pretty fun to be able to play. I know that there's a lot more leagues of Votann. That was kind of one of the things I wanted to do. Is I don't really get to play them often, so I kind of wanted to play as them so I get some additional
Get some experience. Yeah.
game time on them. There's not a lot of Votann players around where I'm at, so unless I'm in a tournament, which unfortunately this year has not been a tournament going year, moving and all that fun stuff. So, so it was kind of a trial basis on. So they're pretty cool. Would I buy an army of them? Well, I have one. I'm trying to sell it though. So, but yeah, they're kind of cool. I can see where they can be kind of tough, especially for doing the Sagittar spam. I didn't go quite as far as the tournament players do with that, because usually it's like 6 Sagittars and
it's a lot.
Even a couple of land fortresses and such.
I like the Thunderkin, honestly. Like, yeah, they're only strength 5, but they're still pretty good into infantry, and they've got anti-vehicle 2+, which is insane. So, yeah, I think they're good, and you can make them hit pretty easily. And if you have judgment tokens on that infantry, being strength 5 doesn't really hurt you that much. You can still wound most everything on 4s or 3s. So.
And I think on your side, like you played a pretty good game overall, obviously, because you got 95 points. The only thing I think that probably I would have done differently is you were very conservative with these guys, the Gents.
Yes.
Right away. Yeah. I probably would have gotten them into the middle of the board behind this ruin right away, where I couldn't shoot you anyway.
Yeah.
Because it's behind the ruin, I wouldn't have been able to get shots on it the first turn anyway, and then you would have been in position to basically box me in.
Yeah.
That first turn. Because you're right
I know they're more fragile, and so that was a concern of mine. I guess I was too afraid of the berserks or getting hammered by all your shooting. So, lesson learned. On that, I haven't run that full squad. That's only the second time I've run that full 10-man squad of them. So, besides that, I haven't run jump pack infantry since 9th edition when it was Vanguard vets, and that's a whole different time period. So, they had storm shields and all this other stuff. So, that was a whole different time period. So different strategies and things like that.
I mean, they're only 150 points plus the captain. So
160.
I mean, really,
the whole squad is 260. It's a decently expensive squad, but they hit like an absolute truck, and I just didn't get to use them. When you said you were going to shoot the scouts, at first when the Einar came in, I was like, oh, good. I was like, the jump ants are just going to destroy those guys, and then I'll be fine. And then you're like, I'm going to shoot all the plasma. I'm going to shoot everything into those guys, and I'm like, crap.
Yeah, I was tossing it around for quite a while. So, going back into it, we're probably going to fix the audio, but I was talking about during that time, I was not really sure what I was going to do for the shooting on it. I kind of tossed it around, did some math on it, and initially I was going to fire some plasma into the gents and then put the grenades into the scouts and then leave the uh, ballistas and just different variations. But the math came down to the grenades weren't going to kill the scouts, and they ended up not doing it anyway because I did it later in the game, where I put the plasma into the ballistas and didn't kill them. I literally had like 40 some shots, 50 almost, and still didn't kill them.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna put everything into the jump intercessors because they're scary. And I wasn't even really thinking about them coming back at the Hearthkin, honestly, or the Hearthguard. I was more worried about you going into this objective over here on the flank of No Man's Land.
Yeah,
that's what I was concerned about, because I knew I was going to be able to deal with that the Sword Brethren, or at least ideally if I would have made that charge. But
well, you still dealt with them anyway.
Yeah, but that would have been really a nightmare for me. I for sure would have lost the game at that point if you were over here.
Yeah.
And then you would have been able to jump back across to deal with that. Because I don't think, because they had to be way over here. If I would have shot into those other things and maybe killed the ballistas, it wouldn't have really impacted the game at all. So I really had to deal with those gents.
Yeah.
So
hope you guys enjoyed this battle report. I know the last two games that we've played, the Templars have lost, so I'm glad to have piloted them to a win for you, so that you guys get to enjoy a Templar victory. And so next time, I don't know, Bob, maybe next time should we do let's not do a BT army, do two Xenos or something like that into each other? Could get the crowns back out.
You can leave that to the crew,
to the fans. Yeah, so tell us down in the comments below. Do you guys want us to do for our next battle report a non-Templar battle report? Maybe some Necrons versus Drukhari, or maybe if Bob wants to pilot Votann again, we can do something like that. So let us know down in the comments. What do you think? Hope you guys enjoyed this. Don't forget to check out our Patreon. We got a lot of great things. Great benefits there. We really appreciate all of our patron support. Check out our Discord as well. A lot of great things on there. And don't forget to smash that subscribe button and like the video. All that stuff really helps us, with the YouTube algorithm stuff. So until next time, keep on crusading.